Hi, welcome to our series of lessons, driving theory and driving practice. And today we will talk about lanes and road markings on German roads. My name is Anjum and I am the author of the best-selling book, Driving Theory for Belgium Made Simple. So let's get started. So let's start with the basic definition of a roadway. So it is also called as road, roadway, carriageway. So it's that part of the public road that is hardened part, that's the hardened part, and it is meant for the vehicles to drive on, right? So which also explains that the sidewalk, like the sidewalk that you see here on the left and the sidewalk that you see here on the right, is not part of the roadway or the carriageway, which means that you are not allowed to drive your vehicles on these sidewalks here. All right, so that's the basic definition of a road. Now a road can be divided into lanes. As you can see here, there are 1, 2, 3 lanes. Basically, maybe this is a parking place, but okay, at least we have 2 lanes here. So now this lanes, how do you identify lanes? A lane will be separated by these road markings. As you see here, these are white broken lines. This can be white broken lines or yellow broken lines. In some cases, we will talk about yellow lines or orange lines in just a moment in this video. So in this example, these are white broken lines. So these are the lines. Now this can be a broken line or it can be a continuous line, and that will separate the lanes. So basically there is a lane 1 here on the right, and then there is another lane. So when you have these broken lanes, it allows you to move from one lane to another. So now because this is a broken lane, the car on the right lane can move to the left lane, and the cars from the vehicles from the left lane can easily move to the right lane. You don't do that very often. You just don't move as and when you want. There is a reason when you can shift the lanes, and it's a maneuver. So you have to be very careful when you are performing maneuvers. It's one of the maneuvers. There are many other maneuvers. We will talk about maneuvers in the other videos, but when you are moving from one lane to another lane, it's called as a maneuver, and you have to do maneuver only when it is needed. All right, so for example, if you are behind this white car and the white car is moving very slow, or it has stopped for some reason, broken down, or for some reason, then you can change the lane. You can come to the left lane and you can move back to the right lane, right? The other reason is you want to turn left here ahead at the junction, so then you can change the lane, keep your car in the left lane, and continue ahead and make a left turn. So basically the summary is, when the lines are broken, it doesn't matter white lines or orange lines, you are allowed to change lanes from right to left or from left to right. Now here's an example of a continuous lane. Now you can see on the right side there are lanes, 2 lanes basically with broken lines, and this is another lane that's for the traffic coming from the opposite direction, and they just have only 1 lane. So if there is a vehicle coming from the opposite direction, the vehicle must continue driving on that lane and is not allowed to change lane for whatever reason, okay, even not for overtaking. So think of this continuous lane as a wall that you cannot cross. Okay, so there is a wall between this lane and the other lane, so never cross a continuous white line. It might cause big accidents. All right, now in addition to the broken lines and the continuous lines, you can sometimes see this, a continuous line next to a broken line, or a broken line next to a continuous line. All right, this is a very interesting scenario. If you see something like this, you should always consider the rules apply to you, considering the lines that are close to you. So for example, if we think about this black car, so for this black car, the broken lines are close to the black car, right? The continuous white line is away from the black car. So the closest lane for this black car is the broken line, which means that the broken car will follow the rules as per the broken lines, which means that the car is allowed to change from right to left. All right, the car can do a maneuver, move from the right lane to left lane. However, once the car moves to the left lane, now which line is close to the car? The continuous white line becomes close to the car. Now once the car has moved to the left lane, it must remain in the left lane, because now it cannot move back to the right lane. Why? Because there is a continuous white line. And remember, a continuous white line is like a wall that you're not allowed to cross. All right, so it's a very special scenario. So they kind of use these situations where there is a junction and they don't want the traffic, to merge and keep changing lanes. So maybe there is a situation where there is a traffic exit, there is an exit here, and they want only vehicles that want to exit to keep them on this lane. All other vehicles that want to drive straight, once they have moved left, they must continue driving straight and they are not allowed to change lane. Now here's an example of the orange lines. So always remember, the orange lines are temporary lines. Okay, so these are temporary road markings, and when you have this temporary road marking, you will always follow them. Okay, in that case, you must ignore the white road markings, because once you have the orange road markings, the white road markings do not matter anymore. Just think that they don't exist. So when there are orange road markings, just follow the orange road markings and ignore the white road markings. So let's say if this white road marking was a continuous white line, you will just ignore it. Okay, the white line doesn't exist anymore. When there is an orange road markings, just follow those road markings. So now they have put this temporary road markings while doing some road works here on the right side. So now the cars can, so as you can see, they have now made, previously there were 2 lanes, now they have made that into 1, 2 and 3 lanes, right? So to allow more cars to pass through, they have put this temporary road markings. Now here's another example of a temporary road marking. This is a continuous orange line, which now has created a lane, one lane on the right, another lane on the left. Previously you can see that those were broken white lines and it was a very wide lane. Now the lane is narrow, and the cars or the vehicles in these lanes are not allowed to overtake anymore, right? Because it is a continuous orange line. Now let's talk a little bit about the pre-sorting lanes. Pre-sorting lanes are lanes that allow you to sort yourself or sort your vehicle on the lane depending on the direction you want to go towards, right? So in this case, the pre-sorting lanes will have these kind of road markings on the road itself. They will, with the arrows, they will indicate the direction that the vehicle can continue to drive towards. Now you want to turn right, you have to pre-sort on this rightmost lane, and this is a different lane. We'll talk about, it's a bicycle lane. We'll talk about bicycle lanes in detail later. But if you want to drive straight and right, you can use this lane. This lane here allows you to drive straight, and this lane here on the most left allows you to take a left turn at the next junction. So even though it is a pre-sorting lane here, because these are broken white lines, you are still allowed to move. For example, you're driving on this lane here and you realize, no, I have to go left at the next junction. So what you can do, you can easily and carefully switch on your indicator and you are allowed to move from this lane to the left lane. There's no problem with that. These are still broken lines. So at the broken lines, you're definitely and positively allowed to change lanes. Now this is another example where we see another lane, multiple lanes here, and this is also the case of pre-sorting. But in this case, the vehicles that want to go left, once they come here, once they reach this point, they are no more allowed to change lane. From here, they can only turn left. Why? Because there is a continuous white line. Remember a continuous white line? It's a wall. So now these lanes do not exist anymore for the vehicles on these lanes. So any vehicle on this lane is mandatorily, compulsorily must take a left. Okay. Similarly, all the other vehicles here, they are not allowed to make a left. Why? You see, it's a continuous white line even till here, and they must continue to drive straight ahead. Okay. So this is a case, pre-sorting lane, where you are not allowed to change the lanes once you have the continuous white line. Now this is a case of lane reduction. As you can see, these arrows here on the these road markings in the form of arrows on the road indicate that if you are driving on the right lane, you must move over to the left lane. Why? Because going ahead, this lane will close. All right. So once you see these road markings, you must, as soon as possible, try to move your vehicle to the lane indicated by the arrows. So sometimes it is indicating towards left, like in this example. Other times it can indicate towards right, so whatever the indication is, just as soon as possible, and when it is safe, just switch the lane. Sometimes these lane reductions can be supported by these traffic signs here. As you can see, a whiteboard. So now it indicates from here at this point. So there is a tip I want to give you. You always read the traffic boards from down to up. Okay, bottom to up. So now it says, okay, bottom is where you are, and now here there are 4 lanes. You can easily see that 1, 2, 3, and 4 lanes. But then going forward, it reduces to only 3 lanes. So this rightmost lane will close, and all the traffic on the rightmost lane must shift to the left lane. So going forward, as you can clearly see, this lane has closed here. So no more 4 lanes, but it's only 1, 2, and 3 lanes. Let's talk about traffic islands. So these markings here on the roads are called traffic islands. So you will see this at many junctions, or even not at junctions, at many places on the road. These are basically meant to direct traffic in a particular direction. So in this case, it's helping the drivers who want to turn left to stay here. It's helping the drivers who want to turn right to stay in this part of the road. So basically, these islands, traffic islands, think of these as a place, an island which you are not supposed to enter. So on these places, you're not supposed to drive, you're not supposed to stop, you're not supposed to wait. Okay, so never take your vehicle on these islands. These are not meant to be driven on. So these are meant to direct traffic, to direct the flow of traffic in directions. All right. So what about bus lanes? Bus lanes are specific lanes like this, where the word bus, B-U-S, is written in horizontal. All right. These are specific lanes reserved for public buses. All right. That you have to remember, that it is reserved for public buses only. It's not reserved for all the buses. So as you can see here, if I can show you here, there is a public bus here which is on the bus lane. So these bus lanes will be accompanied by these road markings with a round, yeah, blue board. And I have already discussed these 6 different type of traffic signs or traffic boards in my another video, and you can watch that video. I'll put the link in the description. So you will, when you watch that video, you will clearly understand what a round board means, you know, what a blue background board means, what a board with red border means, what is a board indicating when it is triangle. So I've explained that very clearly in that video, and you can watch that using the link in the description. So basically these bus lanes are accompanied by these road marking as well as these traffic signs. Now some bus lanes may allow some additional traffic as well. For example, in this case it is allowing bicycles, and it is allowing emergency vehicles like ambulances and police cars, and the taxi is also allowed on this bus lane. All right, that's mentioned with the white plate under the blue traffic sign. Now, so you have to be very careful. Sometimes you will see taxis riding on a lane and you will not see any other traffic there. So just don't jump into that lane because a taxi is driving, that you are also allowed to drive. It might not be the case. It could be a bus lane where taxis are allowed, but other vehicles are not allowed. So make sure you remember that, and be careful when you're not allowed to drive your vehicles in the bus lane. Now, what about pedestrian crossings? Pedestrian crossings are these kind of zebra markings on the road, okay, white stripes on the road. Now, this pedestrian crossings also, it could be accompanied by these road signs, okay. Now, these are meant for pedestrians to cross the road. Now, when there are pedestrians who are at this pedestrian crossing, the traffic must give them priority. All right, so pedestrians will cross first, and then the other vehicles will start moving. Now that's why it's very important when you see this kind of board and a car in front of you stops and the visibility is not clear for you because you're behind that car, you should never overtake. You know, there could be a pedestrian who's crossing the road, there could be an old person, there could be children in crossing the road. So you should never overtake. Think, just wait, because it could be the car might have stopped because there is a pedestrian that is crossing the road. So it's very careful to consider this situation when you see a traffic sign like this. So see how high they have placed the traffic sign also, just to let you know even from far that there is a pedestrian crossing ahead. Be careful, drive carefully. All right, so pay attention to these traffic signs. Now, in addition to the pedestrian crossing in between roads, you can also see this kind of corridor at the junction. So basically this is also meant for pedestrians to cross over. There is a stop line here, so vehicles will stop before the stop line when the traffic light is red for them, and then the pedestrians can easily make use of this corridor to cross the road when the traffic light is green for them. So here's an example of a pedestrian that is using the corridor to cross the road, and the vehicles must stop before the stop line here. Now remember, if you see, in this case you can see that the pedestrian is crossing, but then the pedestrian crossing light has turned red, which could be a case that when the pedestrian started to cross the road using this corridor, it was still green, but when the pedestrian reached the middle part of the road, it turned red. When that happens, you must let the pedestrian cross the road. Okay, don't just try to jump the moment the light turns green. Always adapt. The general rule is to always adapt your speed to the situation. Always adapt your driving style to the situation. So when there is a pedestrian that is still crossing the road, wait for the pedestrian to cross the road safely, and then you can start moving. Moreover, you just don't drive and stop somewhere in between the junction. That should not be the case. Even if the light turns green, just make sure that the pedestrian has safely crossed over, and then you are allowed to drive further. Now, just like the bus lane, the reserved bus lane, there could be reserved bicycle lanes. So that's indicated by this traffic sign here. So the lane here is meant for the bicycles to cross over. So there could be a lane that for the bicycles to cross the road. Like in this case, this is a clear road marking which indicates a crossing for the bicycles. When there is no traffic light, you must let the bicycles to cross safely using this bicycle lanes. So you must give them priority. If there's a bicycle coming, just make sure that the bicycle cross safely, and then only you are allowed to drive further. But if there is a traffic light, everyone must follow the traffic light, like in this case. All right. So if there is a traffic light, always follow the traffic light. If there's no traffic light, let the bicycles cross the bicycle lane. Use the bicycle lane or bicycle crossing safely to cross the road. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and stay tuned, because we will share more and more videos like this which will help you passing your driving theory and driving practice exam for in Germany with good score. All right, please stay tuned and see you next time. Thank you.